Look, one thing's for sure, Takata, and that's the Flooded Frogs is open, but who's going to look to actually try and control that POI? Wouldn't be surprised to see more than one team have the idea to kind of switch things up a little bit here in case game one didn't go to their favor. Maybe you're contested. Maybe you hope that you're going to be uncontested now, like Vanya's team was at Flooded.
Yeah, it's a great drop spot. Has 3 Spire spawns, so you have a good chance of getting that mist form, have a good chance of mobility, but that question can be answered shortly because game 2 is ready to go.
And much like Lobby 1, not everybody is going to be able to escape being contested off spawn. Popular areas like Demon's Domain, for example, it's bound to be a little bit shaky, and Revscar already fully aware of the fact that this is going to be a bit of a showdown at Crime City, except Momzy, Skyjump, Revs, they want to be able to close this one out early.
It's got to be a quick fight. You said it yourself, Taco. We saw what happened in the last match. I'm trying to think to myself, do I want to see Revscar, Momzy, and Skyjump qualify through consistency or through a victory royale? Being contested always makes it that much more difficult for consistency, but we are going to be heading on over to the Demon's Domain as the 50-50 for the top chest plays out. Brawlhalla's trio is going to be the one with the better drop. Crucial part of taking home Demons, and already kicking things off with a player lead.
That initial elimination is going to make things very difficult now, for sure, to actually create a little bit of spacing. Brawlhalla, Asiak, Kaisers, just looking to play things out consistently here. Gotta land their shots though to open the door, otherwise they could find themselves getting turned on, but not gonna be the full collapse there just yet out of Brawlhalla. Instead gonna depend on Kaisers. See if you can find a separate angle here. Still have to deal with the affairs at Demon's Domain too.
Yeah, at this point it's kind of difficult. It's interesting because chests obviously aren't 100% spawn, but the rare chests will be, so it's almost a guaranteed if you're able to get that better drop up top. As for Hara now, all of them looking incredibly low, but they are going to clean it up, so it's worth it in the end. And now they're going to get the medallion for themselves that gives them, you know, guaranteed 50 shield, perfect to get Storm Surge, the best AR in the game, and an incredibly high hero level early on. So part of the reason why that drop spot is so good as we look at Momzy, Skyjump, Revscar, they know now that they want to clean this one up.
Momzy just trying to ensure that they're keeping control of the high ground. Days, guys. It's going to make the wrong step over, and Momzy immediately punishing him for it. Lovetto, last one left behind here as Momzy, Revscar, and Skyjump, they don't waste any time finding that final elimination. A much quicker conclusion in Lobby 2. This is exactly what Revscar, Skyjump, and Momzy needed to get the ball rolling here. They don't have to worry about getting third party, fourth party, fifth, it seemed like last game.
Let's see what they got. They got it all set up now. The 3 eliminations, the damage, the loot of Crime City without being third-partied. So hopefully we see something happen in the mid to late game as Rax trying to clean things up now. No misform, no dashes, but more than enough to pick up that final player, I would seem. They only have 2 eliminations, but the full trio has been taken out. So, hey, cannot complain about that.
All threats having been resolved in some of these outskirt fringe locations, but his extended Puzo Howley, they also managed to find a confirmation of controlling Utopia City. 3 eliminations for them, and it seems like for some of our teams, obviously getting off to a much stronger start here, Takata, by finding these conclusions.
Yeah, it's interesting how much quicker things kind of roll after game 1 concludes. Players are warmed up. They're locked in now and ready to make something happen. Thomas Sky Scroll had kind of a bit of a difficulty having the whole trio up in the late game, but they were still able to clutch enough points to kind of put themselves in the top 10, literally being the cutoff at 42 points. But, you know, I wouldn't be surprised if we see them take home a win in one of these matches.
Ooh. A little bit of sneak opportunities here, potentially. Power and Thielen kind of, honestly, looking a little bit more trapped than anything else. I originally believed that, like, you know, maybe this is them having gone for an even, you know, draw in these off-spawn battles since they are contested early. But Kovacs, Cole, Lost, they have no questions left to discuss here. They just want to leave. They've already gotten what they were after with those 4 elims.
Looked like he wanted some ice. He was kind of farming the little ice crystals, but it's all good, you know? New POI. Volko, the deal cringe. 81 points already. You know, that's a great position to be in. First place right now, not counting the trip that already qualified through the win. And hey, shout out to Pablo. I mean, Levin was talking about it. Solo clutched himself a top 5 after that match. Ended in 6th place, 7 eliminations, but it put them top 5 on that leaderboard. So hopefully this time around, they can actually close it out as a full trio. Superman Sprite being used, which is great for destroying builds, but not great for eliminating players. But hey, when you're chasing someone down, the emoticons coming through. Yeah, must not feel good to go down to that Superman Sprite.
Realistically, Kashi just had nowhere left to run. Pablo, recognizing the fact though, someone was trying to get some shots in onto them. From a gap, Thomas just stumbling upon Faded. That's an easy opening elimination here. Sky now trying to see if they can find a secondary one onto Tex. Scroll also approaching with a different line of sight, but the overhead battle just continues, and Sky, Scroll, Thomas, they will just get the full collapse there onto Tex. Some of these players just getting smothered by the numbers once they lose a teammate or two.
Back to Rax once again here on the island. Repeating myself, it is second zone where it appears, so they're going to be able to get that mythic DMR, that medallion, kind of boost your mobility. It's not the best island medallion we've ever seen, but it's, especially now, actually pretty good if you're able to make use of it in the end game, jumping around, taking good shots. But they got what they wanted, and they'll continue on forwards now.
Well, they know where to potentially look if they want to try and establish a little bit more surge after beating tag or two on that rotate descent off of the Rift Island. Blaha, Combek, Shark also looking to try and get some nice angles on the teams below, utilizing the mountain span over here at Brutal Boxcars, because Shark chasing down a player and take him all the way into the basement here. Relvis hoping to escape, but Shark has zero intentions of letting his prey go.
Not at all. He senses something red in the water as he's continuing to push on through. They don't take up too much time. The Rift gets used. Blaha connecting a good amount of shots, but he was just one away to closing it off. But he can't complain with a bit of extra damage.
He's definitely unhappy, though, that Pablo Wing is going to prevent him from being able to follow up. And now Blaha, he's got into danger for Doxy, up close and personal. Shark trying to see if he can provide a little bit of coverage, but damage is already done. That's a big opening elimination there for Doxy's team, and Chino overhead now. Comeback trying to see if he can back up Shark there, but this is looking a little bit dicey. Pablo, Doxy, Chino, and they both have the health advantage and the numbers here, Takata. And Shark, we know he's a really strong fragger. We've seen him clutch ample amounts of times in these kinds of situations, but the fight is not what they're after. They want to disengage. Chino, Doxy, Pablo, they're not gonna let him go.
It's kind of clash of the Titans early on as Combat goes down. Shark left alone now, gonna be forced to get on out of there, but as the Rift comes through, it opens you up to be eliminated out of the sky. Will he be able to make it? As he's not, you can see in the feed, Pablo has taken him out. 4 eliminations onto Doxy. Look, now all this trio has to do is not get picked off in the late game, and they should be able to close this one out.
After that battle, though, they're definitely looking very healthy. The Freezy, Wheat, Sined, over by Lone Wolf Lair. Not in a real rush just yet, but still opportunities to try and look for some surge damage. And the Flooded Frogs difference with Vanya and Medius and them having already qualled after winning game 1. Normally you'll see a lot of times that Lone Wolf will kind of just expect to be collecting Surge on the team over by Flooded Frogs. It's very common for teams in both of those POIs to kind of take shots at each other, but I was wondering if the Freezy's Surge has maybe been impacted since Vanya's team is out of the lobbies now. Trulex always want to have a plan, though, for Surge strategy.
Yeah, repeat of their previous plans. A good point you made, though. That team that normally kind of taking shots at each other does end up qualifying. You have to switch up your strategy a little bit. Teeny, though, same strategy as always is going to be working out.
Bit split, though. Skvi's got to be kind of wary. It only takes a second, one misstep for a team to kind of catch you off guard and really be the difference maker between at least establishing some good placement points throughout each of these lobbies. Because remember, if you don't find the Victory Royale, you can still be inside of that zone for the top 5 in consistency on the leaderboard instead. Owlsy hoping to see if they can get this real sneak play opportunity. Big shot to open things up. Craig immediately boxed up, praying that his teammates are going to be able to play enough defensive measures, and Owl, sure enough, can't close in just yet for that initial knock.
Chug Jug in the loadout, good option. But I don't know if they can commit to this now. I mean, it was a good initial pump, but his team was a little far back. 3 points on the board, 0 eliminations. They kind of want to set themselves up. What I'm seeing in the last game didn't have a massive match, so maybe Storm Surge was the problem. And if that's the case, they're going to be playing a bit extra aggressive here to get that damage.
But for finding such a big opening shot onto Craig and still not being able to capitalize on an immediate knock conversion to elimination, that's just the stall that Hell's team was clearly not after. They were hoping to just get that big opening numbers advantage. Instead, now both of these teams gonna have to expend some time burning through a little bit of their own heals. And we're still dealing with early tick zones, Takata, but it's just the delay in rotational positioning.
Yeah, the common trend on these storm fights. Thomas Sky Scroll, though, they're not worried about it. They're gonna show you how to clean up a fight quickly, as the 4th elimination is gonna come through for the trio. One of the exotic items actually in hand. We talked about the spires previously. As a reminder, there are some purple spires that can appear on the map. 3 of them, each one containing one of the 3 exotics in competitive Fortnite. Pretty good to have. Like, my favorite one's the shockwave pistol.
Yep, and a stable yoink's definitely going to be very well utilized in a team like that's hands. Let's check back in with them, though. Giras, Frek, Dinas, saw them in lobby 1, just trying to incorporate a little bit of elevated surge strategy. They're going to have to get a move on, though, and play off of the launch pad easily enough. It's really just about making sure they don't get lit up, and that's why I like the fact that they're not just trying to take that immediate white line into the zone. They're instead opting for a little bit more of that scenic route, try and see if they can wrap around off of the dead side.
Take a quick look at what happened here with Rodoxy Pablo Chino. An insta knock with a 3-2-1. Look at the amount of eliminations this trio already has. They were not too happy about how game 1 ended. Said, okay, we got to lock in now for game 2. Eyes are going to be on them as this match continues to play out.
And they continue to look for those same sort of dead side rotations, positioning, going to be very easy to figure out when you have so much surge already online too. Rikbor, Gudenbri, and K, though, on top of the Rift Island, kind of taking notes on some of the teams rotating a little bit north of their position. But you can never really feel too safe on top of these Rift Islands, Takata. You know that there's bound to be at least another team or two kind of keeping tabs on whether or not this team looks to actually depart from the island. Very easy to kind of get lit up if you're not careful.
Yeah, that's the issue. We've had previous seasons, you know, with the Oni masks where it made it quite a lot easier to get on island, but now when the only accessible point causes you to kind of float in the sky a bit, it opens up that opportunity to get hit a lot more and eliminated, so it is a bit risky, especially later on in the match when you have to rotate from island into the zone. But so far, Rax, Belusi, and Zangild. Belusi's actually leading the pack in terms of eliminations so far. 5 elims in the last match. Guden now has lost Cade. Trying to see what they can do with Rick Bohr here.
It's not even just losing Cade, it's also they're aware of the fact that Rex's team is taking shots at them from afar. You're kind of just sitting as open season essentially if you are a duo in comparison to the trio surrounding you. So yeah, it makes sense for Rickborg and Gudenbri to immediately try and just drop down to the low ground. But that fully closing in. This is where things went south. 4K just completely overwhelmed in that instance.
Volkovodil and Cringe so close to closing it out in the last match. Cringe tried escaping, but did end up going down in second place. 9 total eliminations for the trio. So at this point, they're en route to qualifying through consistency, but they, you know, we know they want more than that. As we'll see how they're able to play this one out. It seems like they're going quite safe without any eliminations, but still a decent amount of damage on the board.
Way that the zones are pulling though, heading back towards that northwest the territory. You're looking at some of those elevation shifts. 11 kind of touched on the desk, everybody kind of rolling through. So the team in control of height could also be very easily influenced by the direction some of these endgame zones are headed, Takata, because Vanya Metis and Pixie last time, they were just destroying everybody down below. All they had to do was shoot because they had such advantageous positioning. And I really want to see a team kind of step up to the plate here. And I think a lot of people are kind of looking at Thomas, Skrull, and Sky to be one of those teams to potentially have that height control and just frag out.
Easier said than done, though. Just 2 seconds now. We can see where this zone ends up pulling. And it looks like it is going to be right onto Sky, Skrull, and Thomas. So that's going to make them smile a little bit. Reinforce their base now. Elevate it. Saying, okay, we're kind of primed up right now. So just play it slow here.
Gino, Ferdoxy, and Pablo have steadily made their approach. And they have a completely uncontested area space around them. There's nobody to be seen. Finally, they'll get a glimpse of where Thomas, HD, Sky, and Skrull are at. But Ferdoxy take the opportunity to just face up a bit. For Hawa, not gonna let him have it for free though. Some good tags there. Kind of just being a slight hindrance to Ferdoxy. He's gonna force him to have to use a little bit of that chug jug now.
I was talking about the purple spires. There is a chance you can get triple chug jug from them, so I'm wondering if that might have been the case. But Momsy refs guard sky jump now. They've been in the zone for a good amount of time. We saw it previously when Thomas pulled zone. They were in the zone and they still are. It's a good way to kind of get into the uncongested side, though, when you do have enough damage and eliminations, which they do at 401 above. Question is now how they can convert that to the late game here. I want to be careful with Storm Sickness as well if it ends up playing as a heal off. Now you can in this season use the bird or, you know, mist form to kind of avoid that Storm Sickness damage for a little bit, but still going to be difficult. Craig now doing what they can to get above.
And this is the problem right now for Raf and Zaya. They're just going to be completely stopped in their tracks because Craig's team, they need a big win here, Takata. They need to find damage. And their only option is to take the first fight that they can actually find. But teams understanding when somebody looks desperate for Surge, just cut them off. Do not allow them to actually break our walls. But this is a lot of time now that if Craig's team doesn't tackle this immediate fight, they're just going to end up getting lobby focused anyway.
Yeah, they do have to be careful. 119 above now. Give them a bit of safety, but I wonder what Tom's HD, Sky, and Skrull have been up to. I saw on the feed they got a few eliminations. They got a nice angle. Picking up 1, potentially 2. This is a huge refresh right before this end game begins. they have set themselves up for success in this second match.
That is a tough break for Alva, and it looks like it's only gonna get worse. Unfortunately, she cannot withstand the actual surge tick damage being underneath the threshold, and Snozy completely caught off guard. He's trying to get his teammate to safety. Finds himself now being a victim. Alzi doing what he can, see if he can buy a little bit of time, but he's not going to be able to go for that revive opportunity. He can't even stay standing himself. His Ziggs' team just a little bit too strong in numbers there. Cringe Volk of the deal, though. Seems like they want the fight.
Seems like they might, just 45 above. It might be time to take it, as the shots are going to come through, slowly picking up that spare loot from the eliminations, but they don't want to do anything risky here. You're so close to those moving zones already. Going down in this portion of the match is probably the worst time you could, so they'll find options to take those shots on the rotate. Players will have to move. There's going to be opponents who are also below on surge. For Hala now, trying to see if he can find one of those openings.
For Hala, Maciak, Geysers, some shots taken onto Howley. They're just gonna keep making sure that they have that back tarp fully closed off. For Doxy, not gonna be able to follow Chino and Pablo. Cringe, Volk of a deal. They are just cutting him down at this point. They do not want to allow the rest of that team to escape. But unfortunately, now with the lobby getting involved, Chino and Pablo, they've just been squished in between a rock and a hard place here, trying to see if they can just wiggle their way out of this one. But Chino will be spotted out. Pablo, it's inevitable for him to go down, it seems like, but from this form, not even going to get a chance to pop it off. He's just getting completely surrounded by the lobby, down to his final 3 HP. Only one shot needed to connect. And just teamed on both sides of him. There is nowhere left to run. Drop completely low. He is building for his life here and somehow still standing. But despite his best efforts, everyone else has finally let up. I cannot believe that he has actually withstood that agony.
Not again. Not again, Pablo. The last match, he solo clutched it to a top 6. Jug has been used. He's back in the game now. 100-100. We'll see if he's able to get the back-to-back, but Sky Scroll Thomas want to get more than a back-to-back now with the setup that they have for this late game. Cringe Volk of a deal, continuing to apply pressure onto the elevation in the zone. This is going to be interesting.
And they're not the only ones. Thomas HD, Sky Scroll also taking note and shooting back at everyone else behind them. It's finally going to be their turn. Jump forward, though, likely wanting to keep control of that front side zone. Pablo just hanging back. He doesn't have any other options here, Takata. He has to hope that he can land a big shot on what would ideally be another solo or duo, maybe tagging behind. Seems like it might be Hizix and Howley that he's got in his sights, but not willing to make the jump just yet. Still has 393 above. The issue is he just doesn't have the mats. He's going to be forced into playing that backside of zone. He wants to drop low probably and just pray for a refresh.
He had so many mats before, though. He just got sprayed from max mats to just 17 builds, but Jewel goes Hyper. I believe this is the trio that contests Demon's Domain, or was originally the uncontested team there. Could see them taking home a match. They want to go for all or nothing, and right now, they're in position to do it. All they need is to execute it correctly.
Very similar to the last lobby, the Cringe Volk of the deal. They look like they just want to control front side low. Granted, they don't have as much surge damage as they probably would have expected with those 3 eliminations. Only 96 above. Just indicates how action-packed this lobby has been. Giras, Frenek, Dinas trying to keep a little bit of a separation between ultimate low just for right now, though. But Pablo still managing
Come on, Pablo.
Standing is incredible. He is just finding placement points wherever he can, but Pablo wasn't expecting that shot underneath. Just 2 players sandwiching him. That's going to be the end of his run. Scroll, Sky, Thomas trying to see if they can escape. Earlier on, we saw they were nearly flashing head on. Thomas's team, then Vadil's playing low. You're bound to encounter one of the two.
No, it looks like they took out Brawlhalla, but playing as a duo, once again, the full trio not being up. They're gonna have to clutch this out, but they are looking quite healthy, so it's more than enough to get a good placement here. Vidil, Volko, Cringe, they want to turn that second place into a first. Everything is in their favor here, once again, making sure they have control of the low ground as Rax trying to get on ahead.
Vidil is doing such a great job at tarping ahead, preventing anyone else from kind of getting those misforms into that same front side. Gires, Dinas, Franek looking up now, seeing they can get a temporary chop. Jewel forced to retreat to the high ground, but Teeny gonna cut him off in the process. Teeny actually gonna be the one left over on height, but not sure how much material he has to actually hold it. He might just look for maneuver frontside zone. Ghost watches Jewel get sunk. Ghost meets a similar fate the moment he steps off of the high ground. Doesn't even get a chance to try and land. Trulex, Svi, Teeny, it comes at a cost. They lost Teeny, but with Trulex and Svi now up top, they've got to try and deal with the spray down low. Scroll and Thomas are still rolling as well.
This is one of the most dangerous parts of low ground when the players start crumbling down below. Volko, Vidil, and Cringe want to capitalize on that by picking up Elim after Elim, but they're looking around, they're saying, could this be our chance to apply that pressure on the high ground team? What a good time rotate to stay ahead here with that difficult elevation. It might just end up in that 3v3 to close it out, but Scroll is gonna do what he can to stay up.
Wheaton, Afrizi, and Sined, though, they're currently in control of height, but they don't have a whole lot of materials left over. Dina is still backside of zone, just hoping to skirt by unnoticed. Vidil, Volko, Cringe, farming out whatever last bit of material they can find. They need every single mat at this stage. They were just here in the last lobby, Takata. Now they don't want to find that second. They want to be first. Scroll will be taken out. Cringe, Volko, Vidil. A trio looking incredibly healthy, all things considered. And Cringe, Volko, Vidil, they know it's really just this team on height that we've got to deal with.
The 3v3, the high v low, we've seen this countless times in Fortnite competitive. They're experienced players knowing they need to hit their shots. Afrizi takes out Cringe. Volko now is doing what he can to stay up as Vidil is just at a sliver of HP. Sined, can you connect the shot? All you have is one more tick of zone. He tries to pop the jug, but he doesn't have time. Volko is gonna clean it up. Cringe, Vidil end up taking home game 2, and what a way to push themselves into the finals.
After that lobby one, it was so clear that Cringe, Volko, and Vidil have a very strong grasp of how they actually want to play these low ground front sides of zones, Takata, but to see them immediately transition from that placement in the first lobby to now a victory royale, it's got to be an insanely good feeling for these guys.
Oh yeah, 9 eliminations, second place, into 11 eliminations, first place. It was everything they needed, and with the double chug, Vidil was able to last it out. What a way to close it out. I mean, it was almost flawlessly played from the low ground control to closing it out. Let me know what you guys on the desk have to say, because that looked incredibly clean.
I know we're only 2 games in to Major 3, boys, but the class acts we've seen from some of these trios so far is making me so excited as we move through this series, because Cringe, Volko, and Vidil, they might be a new trio, but they have the game plan, I think, that's going to be right up there with more established trios.
I said after last game, if they can keep playing how they were playing in that first match, they're going to be well on their way to getting a win. I didn't think they'd do it so soon, no, Minnie.
No, I didn't either. And it was quite a similar zone, actually, to what we saw in that very first game. So they almost had a very, very similar game to what they played in that first one as well. They had the exact same situation. They had their surge done early. They played low ground really well as well. And at the beginning of the show, I asked a few questions. I was like, is this the right move here for Volko and Cringe? Of course, doing very well with Kiduo last season, switching him out for Vidil. So far, so good for this team, though, as they're just showing how well they can play, despite being a new team.
I mean, when Vidil was on the market, I'm sure there were so many players who were just like, oh my gosh, if we could get him in our trio. It's no wonder that Cringe and Volko were like, you know what, 12, that was good, but Vidil is someone who can, you know, who can take an FNCS final. So I think it makes a lot of sense. But for me, the fact that they're performing so well already as a trio is something that doesn't just make sense. It's something that's exciting to my senses. So we're going to take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about all the action from game number 2. See you in a few.